technologies startups they have done. It's really a catalyst for you as a student. For what you need to do is really to understand that it's not a one-day work. It's a journey, 5 to 6 years, with a lot of headache, a lot of milestones, a lot of regulations you need to solve and deal, because it's a new market. A new market need to be adapted with a lot of rules and regulations here in GCC countries. What our parents they did in the past, we don't want to do it anymore. So all that rules was good for last 50 years. What those guys they are doing now is
the next 50 years.
Yes, it's we are looking for the vision of the next 50 years. So they are really now in a scratch. They are facing a lot of troubles. However, they converted to a success. So what's happening in Oman could really be typical what could happen in UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, because we share the same challenge, we have the same resources, and we have almost the same populations. So there is a lot of common factors, and looking for those guys, talk to them, and could give you really a good roadmap.
Thank you.
What you have to do in the future.
Thank you so much. Walid?
Just a quick comment. Of course, at iLab Marine, we believe that everyone can contribute to saving the oceans. And of course, we would love to help students, like educate them how they can also contribute to that issue.
Thank you. And it's really a very insightful question, because what we are talking about essentially are disruptive innovations. And the nature of this disruptive innovations that they can only survive and advance is with people with new ideas and who have less boundaries and thinking out of the box. And one of the roles of students and universities is to make these guys uncomfortable. They have to keep receiving new ideas because they are startups that survive on new ideas that were coming from fresh minds, from universities and from schools. Otherwise, they will risk being traditional businesses. And like we said in manufacturing, if you are a traditional manufacturing, you're actually a dying manufacturing business. So the biggest value universities and students can bring to this market and to this space is disruption and disruptive ideas, and making sure these startups do not feel too comfortable in their comfort zone. But thank you very much for this great question. It's been really fantastic to share with you these ideas on a very growing market, from $170 billion maybe in marine technology to double that in the 3D printing, to $570 billion in the IoT and digital manufacturing. We learned a lot how oceans can save life, and how one book of a family member can influence someone to go in the field. And thank you, Assam, for your great work in making sure that 3D printing does not stay only for prototyping, but is also now can move into the semi-mass manufacturing field. Thank you so much for being with us.
Pleasure.
And thank you so much for providing the space for these, whether individual innovators, but also now for these startups to be able to not only stay in their comfort zone and innovate for their companies, but also contribute to the world.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Thank you so much. Sanada?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Khaled. Thank you for your honored speakers, Oman makers from 3D Lab Factory, and the iLab. And what's the good news is actually we have the 3D printer here today with us, and it's under process. So at the end of this session, or at the end of this forum, you can actually take a look of what it's actually printing. What's amazing is that we cannot hear anything. It's totally muted. So please feel free at the end of this forum to approach it and take a look at it, and the other prototype or the other sample that they had brought here together for us to see. So let me take you back a little bit. For the last couple of years, let's say, we were all at home, at our phones, doing our meetings, working from home. We were literally living in our phones. But what I want to tell you is that in the upcoming 5 or 10 years, we'll be literally living inside our phones. So what's new? We have something called metaverse. So Facebook turned into Meta. And now we have a Web3. And when you're scrolling down your social media, you see all these ads about the NFTs. So what's happening? And how can we actually be living in our phones? And what's a parallel world and a virtual world? And what's its applications? So we thank our guests in the first session. And we welcome the session number 2, which is the orange economy and the NFTs. So Mr. Khaled will tell us later on what's the difference between the orange economy and the purple economy, because I'm still confused and a lot of discussions were happening. So the orange economy to do with something creativity and so on.
Yes.
So we'll dive deep into this subject. Digital currencies, what else? Blockchains, exchange. A lot of people are making a lot of money. So what's happening? So let's dive into this. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So what's happening with the NFTs and let's speak first on the orange economy and the purple economy. So what's the difference?
That's really an amazing question. Now we are living in the world of many colors. So not only that we have the fourth industrial revolution and these technologies, globally, there has been a fantastic development into two spheres. We have a purple economy and we have an orange economy. And the fascinating story of the orange economy is that around is that around 10 years ago, the president of Colombia came up with or published a book that was called The Orange Economy. And he focused on how Colombia can use its artists and its software developers into creating and lifting up and scaling up the Colombian economy. So President Iván Duque and his co-authors came up with a book called Orange Economy that provided a roadmap for how can the world of technology and software meet the world of artists, and that was what is called the orange economy. And it's part, and as we see, it has evolved into and brought us a whole new world. What is the relationship between artists, between digital artists, between manufacturers, between software developers? And orange economy has been able to provide this umbrella for both worlds, the software world and the world of artists and literary and
Perfect.
people with my background that doesn't have much to do with technology, for example. And now it has led to countries like Colombia to becoming one of the most creative and infrastructures that is inviting for both, for artists and for engineers.
Okay, that's perfect. So, and the purple economy is more to do with the cultural?
It's exactly what we're talking about today. What's amazing about the purple economy is that the main message is that you cannot really move forward unless you understand the concept of culture. We as human beings, and this would be I'm looking forward to hear from our guests today. What are their views? Is it enough for our older generation, your younger generation, to focus on the technologies and developing the technologies and investing in technologies? Or do we think we need to explore more what is the relationship between technology and changing our behavior as human beings?
All right.
Do we need to hold on to our identities the same way we are doing this now? Do we need to develop new identities, for example? I would love to hear this from the views in the next 2 to 3 sessions.
Perfect, perfect. So stay tuned for the next sessions. And for now, we welcome Mr. Haytham Salmi, CEO of Muscat Stock Market. Please take the stage.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
As well as Dr. Khalid Al-Tahan, who is the founder of the first currency exchange in Oman, currency exchange,
Crypto.
digital currency exchange. So he's going to tell us more about it.
Thank you
Please,
so much, dear
go on.
Nada. I'm
Ahlan.
very, very excited about this session because it's moving us to a world that I am personally still trying to understand and grasp from totally two different perspectives. And I'm joined by people who have played a major role in moving it from something that is a mystery into something that will really serve the market and has a very, very high potential. And thank you very much for making time, Mr. Haytham. Mr. Haytham Salami is the CEO of Muscat Stock Exchange, who has been playing a really important role in advocating and in thinking about the applications of these new technologies and how they are affecting the world of stock exchanges. Thank you very much for making time, and ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome.
Ahlan wa sahlan. It's my pleasure to be here. It's my pleasure to talk on those very important, let's say, technologies and application of those technologies. I will be delighted to speak how those technologies and applications affects the exchanges and the financial sector.
Thank you so much. As long as the exchanges and the financial sector is doing well, the global economy is doing well, right? Inshallah. And I'm very pleased as well that welcome Dr. Khalid. He's always one of the most interesting people to talk to in this space. Thank you so much for making time.
Thank you, Khalid. Feeling is very mutual as well. We always love debating these topics, and the controversial ones always bring more excitement into the space. So it's good to discuss it and how controversial topics come into the space of the future of finance and how the bridge happens.
Amazing. And you mentioned the excitement, and before that, maybe one of the most intriguing things about this session is your background. I couldn't believe it when I learned about your background. So could you please let us know a bit your background? Why is it so interesting?
Sure. So I'll touch base on the question on education. So I'm a medical professional by career. I work in a hospital. That's my day job. But I've had a hobby of technology since childhood. So how do you it's not necessarily an education. So even the topic I've entered it in 2013 before there were any degrees related to this topic. So if you are passionate about a topic, you will seek that data. So it doesn't really have to come from your education or a platform of education. And you can create a career out of it. So I've touched base into cryptocurrency. I was trying to bring forward the topic within the Sultanate from 2014. And as you can see, it's a disruptive tech. What we're looking at is what can replace the middleman, the normal traditional bank, and how this becomes a new financial system, and how basically you can have the new stock market on a digital platform. And you can have the exchange of value without a bank or PayPal. So these things, from an innovative idea that started back in 2009, from a hobby to a business project now that is the first crypto exchange in the Sultanate of Oman.
So it would be great. Can you give us a bit of definitions for simple-minded people like myself?
Sure.
What are the 3 or 4 most important terms that we need to know to understand this whole space?
Of course.
Ending with the NFT and maybe starting with digital
Sure,
world.
sure. So I'm gonna say the main word is decentralization, right? The traditional world functions on central authorities or central entities that facilitate things between parties, between me and Khalid, for example. In the internet, before pre-internet era, we used to exchange data by the postal service, right? Now the only reason I use the postal service is really for parcels. But data exchange, I no longer send letters or pen pals, if you remember them, when people used to write to each other. It's a dying thing because the internet disrupted that middleman. And the middleman had to, which is the post, had to adapt and change and morph into improving their parcel services, etc., to remain viable in this new era of the internet. What we're talking about is the blockchain space and distributed ledger technology. These are all talking about how do you decentralize the control of this central entity. So how do you use technology to be the middleman between me and you to exchange something of value? So we're not talking about data now. The internet solved data. But how do I exchange value? If I'm using the internet, I cannot send a 10 real or 10 dirham note by email. Because when I do that, I send a copy. I don't send the original. So if I send a copy, then now we have 20 riyals. Me and Khalid, he gained 10 and I gained 10. We've just increased the supply of money. So we couldn't solve that. It's called the double spend problem with the internet. So we still needed middlemen in the internet era like PayPal. So PayPal is still there. It's viable purely because we needed the middleman in the internet space. Blockchain tech solves that middleman problem. So now I'm able to exchange value directly between me and Khalid without anyone in between us except technology. Okay? And which blockchain you use dictates the currency that you're using to do that transaction. Right? But there are gazillions of types of blockchains. The other part of that is smart contracts and NFTs. So into 2017, there was the ICO craze. ICO is an initial coin offering, which is the equivalent of an initial public offering in the stock market. So the reason I'm highlighting this specifically is because with every new technology comes opportunistic people as well. So you're going to get a lot of hype and buzz and people who are trying to scam their way through in this space because the regulation is not fresh yet. Right? So if I have a company and I want to crowdfund for it and I launch a coin for it, without a regulator in this specific scenario, it's a ground for people taking advantage. Right?
Makes sense.
And this is why it's very important for certain use cases when you don't have a central entity on the technology for a regulator to be in the picture. So two big, very important scenarios is initial coin offerings, which there is a reason there is an IPO, initial public offering in the stock market. It's for consumer protection. And it's the same concepts that really need to be relayed in the initial coin offering, and it was proven in 2017, that regulation in certain types of applications, not without a middleman, still need governance. And the other one is NFT. This is the current hotspot.
Yes.
NFT is all about, it's non-fungible tokens. Non-fungible tokens are basically, say, if I own the Picasso painting, it's one of one. I cannot make another copy of it, right? The only way I can exchange it is for a value in $1, etc., but I cannot create another one. So it's a rare asset. But when you have a platform now on blockchain where you can start saying, this is my property, this is my copyright. This is not mine, this is Motorola's. But I can go and put it on as an NFT and start selling it as my own. Right? So again, another scenario where a regulator is sort of needed for the governance side of the decentralized trades. But governance is needed in that. And then there's certain components that don't require a regulator. A transaction over Bitcoin, as long as you're doing the KYC and AML that's normally done on financial assets, a regulator is not that critical in that equation because the monitoring just happens. It's all traceable on the blockchain. Amazing. So these are the key words. I hope it explains.
Thanks. And I think we will get back to it to see how significant is all of this world. Is it really a new world that is parallel to our physical world? And also, are they converging? So it would be great if you can shed light on that later. But So, it'd be great to say, Haytham, if you can tell us how are stock exchanges handling all of these developments and innovations in this technology space?
The stock market has been built after centuries of trades that happens, in the markets, mainly in the real existing markets. It's not an exchange. And there are some commodities and assets has been transferred between people, buyer and seller. Through those centuries, government used to govern those trades and make sure that buyer and sellers get their rights and benefits. So with a lot of regulations, a lot of infrastructure has been built to make such markets resilient, to create the trustfulness of those markets.
And how important is trust for markets?
So to make it trust, it was all centralized. So going to decentralized was a really big shock on such systems, which were built mainly on a centralized, very controlled systems. So a full legacy has been changed now. And that's where a lot of markets are really reluctant on developing those strategies, because you will remove the middleman who has been there to create few controls. So it's like a change on culture, a change of whole theory. Of course, this is a very high disruptive technologies. If we remain silent and keep what we do, I think we'll vanish at the end. So we need to accept that.
So do you think it's irreversible, these innovations, these disruptive innovations?
We need to utilize those. And there are different models of utilizing such technologies. DLT, the main important thing was to remove the middleman. So remove the extra cost generated from the middleman. But there are some other uses for blockchain as well. You can use it to create the trustfulness on the system, because it's an immune system. It's very trusted, very secured system.
And tried for centuries.
Yes. So those applications has to be explored based on the type of the financial assets, and then use those technologies. So this is one use of technology. The other side is the digital assets as an assets with a value. So digital assets are mainly made to create a growth rather than create an income or like annual income. So it's actually complementing the real assets. It's not competing. The only competition will happen is that toward investors and their objective on the investment. So if they shift from a real stock market investment to a digital asset, then they are compromising their annual returns toward having a growth in their returns. So, and that usually happens with the young generations who look for a growth.
Yes.
But when you're getting old, you want an income that will help you in your retirement. So different type of attitude, and it keeps changing. So as an exchanges, we need to pinpoint those points and make sure that we are not losing the business. We are there to serve both type of investors with different mindsets, different investment strategies.
And amazing. It seems that you both mentioned a very interesting concept, and it's a revolutionary concept, which is removing the middleman from very well established and trusted fields. You mentioned decentralization, and you mentioned that we have to leverage and use these innovations and these technologies. How are we doing in terms of taking full advantage of these innovations?
So the way I look at it is, and I commend Haytham, to be honest with you, for leading the MSX in this direction. Because I'll give you a very simple example. In the past, when you used to travel, you would have gone to a travel agent.
Yes.
Right? You would have booked your hotel through the travel agent, etc. Do they exist now? It's predominantly booking.com. You're using a software to replace businesses that were all over Oman, that were running on travel. So I commend Haytham purely because he sees that vision. And that's a key pillar to progress. That you see that our traditional ways can be disrupted, and how do we self-disrupt if we are going to be disrupted? It might not happen We might never get to it. 10 years from now, blockchain is nothing and hoopla, and it goes down the drain. However, you're trying to self-disrupt yourself, okay? And you're utilizing the tech, and should it succeed, you're already in that road.
Thank you so much. And you mentioned a very interesting concept, which is self-disruption. It sounds cultural more. So is self-disruption, can you just explain what it is? And is it really taking place?
Yeah, so every business has a life cycle. It peaks and it troughs. So the idea is, how do you self-disrupt yourself? You use that to increase your peaks, right? So if you're not going to disrupt you, someone is going to come and disrupt you. So it's an open world, right? So if I didn't do my exchange, if Oman didn't host an exchange in Oman, an exchange from abroad is going to penetrate and disrupt MSX, right? So effectively, why not have that disruption happening in-house in the same institutions? And it's the perfect example is Apple. Apple launched the iPod. It was revolutionary. It dominated the MP3 players, and they knew that a million other companies are trying to disrupt them. And they self-disrupted by the iPhone. And they killed the iPod.
Yes,
Okay.
I remember I'm one of those people who are old enough to have owned an iPod for a very, very short time. But disruption is a very interesting concept as well. And I really would like to welcome one of the most inspiring artists who was responsible for the wonderful video that we saw at the beginning. Welcome, Mr. Munir.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be with you here.
Thank you so much for joining us. And we're talking about something that is, we're talking about orange economy and inspiration and art, and how art and technology are coming together. Exactly. One of the most important breakthroughs and inspirations that people like Munir have brought to the overall space and market, not only in Oman, but really globally, is leveraging technology and bringing technology into art and becoming digital artists. And Munir is a well-known, a very quiet person, but globally he's well-known. He has worked with some of the most promising production companies in the world that are dominating us culturally, from Hollywood to I think also works with some of the productions that were on Netflix and many others as well. So could you please tell us about how's your experience in the art world meeting the digital world?
Okay, so in the beginning, thank you very much for the introduction. My name is Munir Sulaimi. I'm an artist, and I work as the head of art and design section at Sultan Qaboos University. But currently, I'm leading my own company, so I resigned from the government, and then I just focus on making business out of art. My main major is doing animations, actually, and I'm an artist. I do drawings and paintings, and this is one of my artworks, that guy called Shihab.
His name is Shihab?
Yeah, his name is Shihab, yeah. This is one of my works. And
is there a story behind calling him Shihab?
It's a long story, yeah. Yeah, so I start by drawing, and then I start also to develop the drawings to make them animated, actually. And this is maybe the beginning to start going inside of the new technology. When I see my images, I try to give them a second dimension. So I want to see them animated. I like to see my characters moving and interacting. So I decided to learn 3D animation, and it was difficult actually for me.
And you taught yourself?
I taught myself, yes, and also I learned programming. So programming helped me to create my own systems and also my own softwares and plugins. So actually I learned programming by mistake. It was a mistake to learn it.
It's never a mistake.
Yeah, it's never a mistake, yeah. But I was thinking at the beginning, it's everyone who is learning graphics, he must learn programming. I was thinking this is like the rule, but I was mistaken actually, no need to learn programming. But it helps me actually to improve my my career in doing some animations. And I created my own motion capture system in 2004, I think, at that time. So it's too early actually.
Yes.
But I used my programming skills and also my artistical skills to develop that solution. And also I improved it to make it for the facial, for face motion capture, which is more complicated and more difficult actually. But I did it with very low cost. I cannot call it innovation because it's already existing in the world, but I make my own with my own touches and with my own way. I don't know if you watched some of the videos where some characters moving. All of these characters are created by my own system.
Amazing. And we were talking also about the importance of originality.
Yes.
And how now there is a hunger and demand in the world for artistic work that we know is original, that is produced by Haytham or produced by Dr. Khalid or produced by Munir.
Yes.
Do you think now that artists need to understand this new world of blockchain and all these NFTs, like you taught yourself programming? Do you think it's important for artists to move in that direction?
Yes, I think it's extremely important because it's the future, and our life is changing, so it will be part of our life. So it's important to.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I want to touch base on that. So the West is brilliant at marketing. That's a fact. And out of the Gulf, Dubai is the one that's caught up there and done the same job, and they're very good at marketing. But let's be very clear. Marketing in the traditional sense is also funneled through central entities, right? So you have a record company, etc. So this centralized marketing, out of the whole Gulf, Dubai was the biggest successful one in this. The opportunity for artists with blockchain is it does not need that centralized entity. So you can go to your customer immediately. So as an upcoming artist, he can leapfrog this need for that marketing that really is very difficult to compete with the West. They're very good at it. And Dubai, mashallah, has done it well. You can leapfrog that. You can get to the customer direct without the need for those central record companies, etc.
And how big are the rewards? I mean, we heard some numbers about the world of NFTs.
So the world of NFTs,
are those numbers real?
I don't forget the numbers because, as I said, it's hype cycles. So you want to ignore the noise and focus on
So no need to quit my job.
Focus on the value. And the value is the story.
Yeah.
Munir highlighted that. Every piece of art has a story. And the value is in that story.
Thank you so much.
And that's what creates the value.
Thank you so much. Please
to add on this. I think the value of NFTs is around $380 million. One of the major points in any businesses, whether it's online or a real, physical product, is the counterparty risk.
Yes.
Whatever you want to buy, you want to make sure that the other party or the other part of the transaction really delivered the obligation. So in the real world, it's there, and that's where the capital markets has been built, that we reduce the counterparty risk at the minimum, and we make sure that the buyer receives the product and the seller gets the amount.
Yes.
So when you come to the NFTs and the digital assets, and then the main purpose is to remove the middleman. So when Munir, for example, creates his own digital painting, for example, then that, whether it's original and it has been sold by Munir directly to the buyer, so that transaction is recorded in a blockchain to make sure that it's original. But the only part which has been mentioned by Dr. Khalid, whether the seller is Munir or not.
Exactly.
Yes.
So at the end, we will always need a governance to make sure, but the transaction will happen in the system and the settlement will happen immediately in the system. And with Ethereum, for example, there are two types of code.
Which is Ethereum, which is a digital currency.
Yeah, ERC20 and 721. And the main difference between those two, that ERC20 replicate the same form of assets. So when we talk about blockchain or Bitcoin or any other currency, it's always the same value. It has the same rights, the same value. But when we talk about NFTs, it's just one unique product. So there are no replication of this product. And that's where we need a governance and we need exchanges to make sure that such counterparty risk has been minimized to the lowest, and the authenticity of those products or paintings is there.
And once we
protect Munir.
Yes. And once we provide those protection for artists, for producers, for original people with original products, it's only then maybe where we can see the healthy, sustainable growth of this sector. Before this, we would like to bring in Dr. Khawla Al-Harthi, Oman Blockchain Club President. Dr. Khawla, are you online?
Unmute.
Dr. Khawla, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Welcome everyone. I'm happy to join you today online in this interesting session.
Thank you so much, Dr. Khawla. Could you please let us know your connection to the world of blockchain and any comments you have on the discussions that we had on decentralization, on originality, on value, and on governance?
Yeah, and actually this is really interesting topic these days, and it's moving the world towards into a very deep technological in terms of finance, or in terms of businesses and everything. Blockchain today, Doc, it's moving towards into adopted in different domains and applications. In the beginning of the blockchain, many people feel afraid of adopting this technology, but actually it's a proof itself. It's a proof its ability of maintaining the confidentiality, integrity into the business level and financial level, and also another applications level. We are as a blockchain Oman club, we are committed of separating and spreading up the knowledge of a blockchain towards Oman. And we are trying our best into train and educate people in Oman in terms of these technology. We pass the level of educating. Now we are having huge people in society level. They know about blockchain. They are interested into learning this technology, and they are asking us for a deep level. And this is the level of today discussions into the NFT and how NFT can be adopted. So yes, this technology is moving forward into higher level into a society.
Thank you so much. And can you tell us what do you think are some of the challenges that an organization like the Blockchain Club is facing towards growing more and reaching more awareness and reaching the goals of the activities, the awareness activities that you have done? What do you think are some of the challenges that you need to overcome?
Actually, the club is starting in 2017, and it done very good job and trained more than 800 people into the technical level into adopting the blockchain technology. The most challenges as a club we are facing that is finding the enterprises where it's allow us to take case studies and allow the members to build up stories, but this is still in domain, and still we are working and we find some interaction, but still it considered as a challenge little bit. Also, we would like to highlight this point, which is also all members, everybody waiting to be educated, and we advise them that we are here to support. You can go ahead, you can learn, and we will support over you. Do not wait for any workshops. Do not wait for any trainings. You should go ahead and learn by yourself. But as I told you, sometimes we surprised with the level of the knowledge we get from the society about this technology. So there is a balance between different things. But the challenges is all the time is there in terms of separating the technology over. But this is a normal life, and we are happy to deal with it.
Thank you so much. And we have one more question for you about how do you see the future and the development of blockchain in general and the blockchain club in particular. Dr. Khawla mentioned a very important concept, which is balance. And we all talked about the importance of governance, the importance of authentication, the importance of giving this trust to the whole society. But also, how can we make sure that we are embracing disruptive innovation? So how do we balance between embracing disruptive innovation and governance and legislations? Maybe start with you, Dr. Khaled?
Sure. So
maybe in 30 seconds?
Yeah, sure. The key point here is, first of all, not all blockchain is made equal. Blockchain in a centralized way versus a blockchain that's decentralized are completely different topics and completely different strains of thoughts, and one will succeed, one will not. It's heading towards a decentralization. However, governance is always going to be behind an innovator. Okay? They will always be behind. That's a fact of life, and it will remain a fact of life. You should not worry yourself with the governor. The governor has to catch up to you, because that's his job. His job as a governor is to protect the consumer whilst enabling innovation in his country. Because if you as an innovator can go, the world is your oyster. Nobody's stopping you from going to anywhere in the world as an innovator. But the governor is stuck to his country. So he has to enable you whilst in the same time protect the consumers. So they will catch up to you. And nothing, as long as they don't say the word mamnua, nobody's stopping you from doing anything. Go ahead and do everything. Your intentions are clean. Everyone will be behind you.
And the Arab world has potential in this space?
The what?
The Arab world and Arab companies.
In my opinion, this gives you the opportunity, the starting line in this technology. We are equal with Facebook, Twitter. Facebook changed their name to Meta. That gives you a clear sign. They're just at the starting line, just like we are. The internet era, the booking.com has been established, the Facebook has been established. You can still innovate, but again, what I'm trying to say is opportunities are way less in the internet compared to a race where now the world is at the starting line at the same time. So innovate, don't let a regulator hold you back ever. Okay, take it from one who's experienced it, and just keep going. Everyone, they will all see the spirit in you that you want to grow and use the vision, and they will come towards you. They will not fight you. And the beauty of the Gulf, and this is what I always say about the Gulf compared to the States. So the land of opportunity used to be the States. The land of opportunity is the Gulf. Because your access to the regulators is way easier in this part of the world compared to the West.
So the land of opportunity here. Thank you so much, Sir Khaled. And we are the starting line, like Dr. Khaled said, and you already crossed that starting line. I've applied blockchain in for example, encouraged your companies to hold their board meetings on using a blockchain application. So where do you see that balance between protection and innovation?
I thank Dr. Khaled because this pilot has been started together with the blockchain club. And at that point of time, it was really expensive to have such new technology, but we have decided to go ahead and just test the technology. And the main point toward having blockchain is to make sure that the votes from the investors are solid. That's the whole purpose of using blockchain. So we have utilized that, and we used that during the pandemic and created a very positive result. So we encourage online applications, whatever online applications, and blockchain is a database. It's not a technology itself. It's just a database. And where we have applied blockchain to create a straight-through processes on blockchain. It feeds the blockchain data.
And after your experience, you're continuing with it?
Yes. And now the application is well and running, and it has been sold across border as well. So the project has created a very good success from a pilot in 2017 to a real-life application. Has been welcomed by all the listed companies. We have listed companies and closed joint stock companies using the applications, and a lot of requirements from even private clubs and who have members. They want to utilize that system.
Amazing, and it's really great news to hear that it even been sold as now a global product. And how do you see the future of technologies helping the art scene? And more importantly, how can we invest in helping artists like you in taking advantage of this new world of blockchain and NFTs?
Yeah, I guess we need to make a lot of awareness for people to be aware what is this technology and how can they benefit out of it. I remember when I was a student at the university, I was learning art, and then I just decided to shift to digital art, and then I was talking to my master that I am decided to shift to a digital art. He said, no, don't do that, never do that, because it will destroy your art. You will never be artist anymore, because it's technology, and it's like one click, and then the artwork will be ready. I think the same thing now. We need. Then I just go ahead and I learned digital art, and then they come back to me. They said it was a good thing that you did that. So I think also the same thing with blockchain and all of these technology. I think we need to make more awareness for people. What is it, and how can they benefit out of it, and then how can they sell their works like NFTs or whatever? So
and that the world is their oyster. We can no longer afford to think locally. We have to think of the global market as well, like you've done.
Especially in the schools, I guess it's also one of the responsibilities in the schools that the new generation have to learn all of these type of technologies and how they will affect their artworks. And also we need some models, like some examples of successful people that use these technologies and they get benefit out of them.
I mean, all of you guys here, I am biased, but I love how the four of you have always used your knowledge in new technologies, and you've been insisting in sharing this knowledge with others as well. Dr. Khawla, if you're still with us, yes, what are your views on the future of what the blockchain is trying to achieve, Blockchain Club?
Yeah, we are moving forward into and committed into separating the knowledge of blockchain and blockchain updates. We are also committed in hosting national and international speakers to separate also the knowledge to the society. So we are moving forward into this. We will adopt different symposiums. We are enhancing our membership experience also into the club. So from this also platform, inviting everyone to join the blockchain club and sharing your knowledge with us. As the panel said, and I will confirm, blockchain, it's available, it's free open source, many open source is available. Go ahead, adopt this technology, and we as a club, we are ready to support.
Thank you so much, Dr. Khawla. Any question to this distinguished panel on blockchain and this new infrastructure that is developing?
Thank you. No question from my side.
Thank you so much, everyone. It's been really a pleasure to know about the great work of organizations like the Blockchain Club over the past maybe around 3 or 4 years. It has been really enlightening to talk to you, Mr. Haytham, and knowing how important it is to make sure that there is a governance that ensures that everyone's rights are protected so that we can move into these and adopt and embrace these technologies with some comfort. And congratulations on starting that and making the right partnerships to make that happen. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Dr. Khaled, thank you so much for all the great advice on how to handle and to have a healthy relationship between the artists, between the technology, the business projects, and between the regulators as well. It's been quite enlightening, really, and I love your definition of whether it's NFTs and how it's related to the blockchain. And I really hope that we will see more people like you who have not given up, no matter what the challenges are in bringing technologies to our world.
It's always our pleasure, Khalid. And the real stars is Haytham and Munir. These are the creators. Haytham creates the platform of success for Munir. This is the equation that's needed, and it's just here.
It's amazing that we have infrastructure now that is attractive enough to have artists like Munir, who will see in the future their beautiful work. And I really invite you to visit their YouTube channel. Is it Turian? And what are we going to see there?
Some examples of our works. And if you want to see more, you can visit my personal account in social media. There are a lot of works, but they are not updated because since 2019, I just stopped doing my personal work, and then I shift to professional work, to work with the studios and work with
digital art.
Digital art.
Conservative, traditional.
Thank you so much for building this infrastructure
Allow me,
for
Khalid,
all
to
of us.
mention something
Please.
in the end of this session. There are billions of investment in digital assets, and maybe Dr. Khalid mentioned that the government has to create or support that. Since Bitcoin issued in 2006 or 8, I think.
9.
So since then, crypto assets was not welcomed. A lot of gray areas here and there, but now we are forced to accept that. And just yesterday, the first exchange of digital assets has been created in Switzerland, related to SIX. SIX is the Switzerland Stock Exchange. They have created digital asset exchange fully, and that's a sign that all countries has accepted the fact that cryptos and digital assets are there. They are part of the economy. They're worth billions. And we have to accept the fact
and
and
do you
do
think
the work
that
on
Switzerland's move
Watch
came in time?
Watch Bitcoin's price go up now.
Yes. And do you think this move from Switzerland came at the right time, or is it late, or is it too early?
Switzerland has started earlier by having the Crypto Valley. But announcing an official license exchange is the first of its kind. And it's a signal that countries has accepted that digital assets and cryptos are part of the economies.
Amazing. And so should we expect something like this in the coming New Year?
That's what we are working for.
Thank you so much, everyone, for this wonderful introductory session on the world of NFTs and blockchain. Thank you so much, Ustad Haytham, Dr. Khalid Tahan, Al-Fannan Munir Salemi, and Dr. Khawal Harti. Thank you. Over to you, Nada.
Thank you so much. Amazing world and a big world of opportunities. I'm looking forward, especially for artists. I wish I could have been one. I would have made millions by now. So thank you so much for being here and actually listening to our speakers. And we would like to thank them so much for traveling all the way here from Oman to join us here in Expo 2020 Dubai and to contribute to connecting minds and creating the future. And the future is actually the very near future, which is already here. So thanks a lot for our speakers, and you may leave the stage for our next interview. I know we're not getting enough of you, but we have to. The time is running out. Thanks a lot, please. Thank you so much. So for now, we're talking all the bright opportunities, and we're speaking of artists and arts and creativity and all of this. But in a darker side, I don't want to say darker, but everyone is in their phones all the time, and we are, every time we are disconnecting from the real world, and it's happening. And our kids now are more involved with their phones, and not a lot of gatherings, actual friends, or our friends are online. So taking this side, we want to have our next guest, Mrs. Maha Al-Habsi. She's joining us online, and Mr. Khalid is going to be interviewing her on reflection and meditation in the digital age, and how can we preserve ourselves in this digital age, and how we can be more aware of our being, actual being, not our avatars in the virtual world. So, Mrs. Maha, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Welcome. Please, Mr. Khalid, you can start.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nida.
Ahlan wa sahlan. Thank you so much, Mrs. Maha, for joining us. This is a very exciting session because what we're talking about here and the theme of the whole Expo Dubai is connecting minds and creating the future. And we have been talking about technologies that are related to the orange economy, like digital arts, NFTs, blockchain. And in the morning, early in the morning, we talked about the worlds of Internet of Things and digital manufacturing. But now it's a very interesting session because we're almost taking a step back and talking about the importance of reflection and meditation. So it will be very good to give our audience a little bit of background about your organization, Outward Bound Oman, and also your view of how reflection and meditation brings value to the digital world. Please go ahead.
First of all, good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Mr. Khalid, thank you so much for the introduction. Outward Bound Oman is a non-for-profit organization that started here in Oman in 2009. You can find Outward Bound around the world in more than 35 countries, and we are specialists in outdoor education. Sort of things. To answer your question, Mr. Khalid, we work at Outward Bound to use as I mentioned, to use outdoors to equip the next generation with the future skills that identified with a lot of organizations such World Economic Forum, Oman Future Skill Initiative here in Oman, which will help them to build a bright future and to make the Vision 2040 a reality. Interestingly, whilst hard technical skills are identified as being important to embrace IA and to make the most of opportunities provided by the fourth industrial revolution, it is also the soft skill like communication, collaboration, critical thinking, problem solving, which will help to vital for us and move forward in the society. And here where Outward Bound comes to shape this soft skill, which is needed with the digital skills to move forward. As you know, as Mr. Khalid, we at Outward Bound, we rely on three important P's, which is people, process, and place. The people are the part where our staff, especially the instructor, being qualified to use such an experience, outdoor experience, to enhance a lot of skills. Where the process is the way we work, which is where we can find the reflection part of. So you know that in our process, we rely on a model called do, review, called plan, do, and review learning model, where we do things, then we review it, or we plan it first, we do it, and then we review it. A reflection is a great experience that you can use to learn more. And I believe you agree with me that the greatest learning happens in places where technology struggles to work and where there is no mobile signal.
And that's a really great introduction to what Outward Bound Oman does and your process. And really would like to know more about your views on how is culture featured in the work that you do. Do you think, when you are talking to your participants, when they come to you, do you think that things like reflection and meditation and culture influence the attitude of your participants into achieving the goals of your trainings?
Yes, sure. Because if you can imagine outerbound course, it is like you take the people from the comfort zone to other zone that you build it to them to learn. So this zone are the nature. So far away from any distraction, from any mobiles, from any technology, from anything, just clear and fresh air, and nature around you, a group of people that you need to work with, um, an environment that help you to learn more and help you to be more creative. So from working with more than now 18,000 young Romanians since we start Autobound here in Roman, we noted that this approach worked a lot with the young people because the life is going very very fast, with a lot of devices around us, a lot of distraction around us. So once you take them from all of this to another zone and you try to enhance then all the skills needed, or just to give them the tool and open the door for them to discover the importance of this skills and to discover themselves more. It is very very powerful. So the reflection and which happen normally at the end of the third days or the end of the course, when everyone is just sit and reflect on all what's happened in the journey at Outerbound, all the challenges that they faced, all the solutions they come up, the ideas, and they sit with themselves and draft an action plan for the next stage of their lives. It's just that's powerful way to learn.
Thank you. And you mentioned an important concept, which is nature-based learning. So, with these 18,000 young people that you have trained, can you tell us examples of how learning in nature through reflection is related to creativity? Have you seen some of your participants, some of those 18,000, learn in nature and then become more creative, for example?
Yes, there is a lot of which is make me very proud whenever I met anyone very successful in his work, and that's for sure because of a lot of contribution to that. But when he mentioned that I was in a course with Outerbound and I learned this and this and this, and it's support me to come up with ideas or be more confident to work in my idea, or explore myself more, or discover my capability more. So as you know, our Korthan, which is the one who started this Outward Bound, the founder of Outerbound, he believes he started it on a belief of we are capable more than we know. So to discover this capability and creativity and the power that we have, we need a space where we discover this. So we create this learning model, outward bound or outdoor education, to make us ready to discover our creativity. So imagine yourself outside, surrounded by nature from all around you. So it is, it's encouraged the creativity a lot by having a discussion with different people there, because in each courses we have like 18 participants. So you have 18 different characters, you have 18 different thinker, you have thousands of ideas that you discuss it with people there. You have number of challenges, physically and mentally challenge that's embedded in that course, which force you to go out your comfort zone, to think out of the box and come up with creative solution and creative idea. So yeah, Outer Bound is all about this.
Amazing. So, moving forward and looking at the future, how do you think we can balance between this digital world, connecting minds, creating the future through technologies, but in the same time, the soft skills that you have been focusing on, like communications, like dealing with people, being in nature, being in the mountains, being in the beaches, and how do we invest in a future where there is a balance between nature-based learning and between the digital revolution?
So the technical skills nowadays is very, very important, which is I agree with you on this. But adding value to that, you need to take care, or people need to take care of the soft skill side. Because to build a business, for example, or to be successful in your life or in your work, you need communication skill, you need critical thinking skill, you need team building skill, you need problem solving skill. So if you just isolate yourself in a box away with the technology where there is no human skills involved there or human activities involved there, imagine how the world will be. So yeah, we need to build the technical skills, but inside or in along with the soft skills needed for future. So for the future, I really encourage all the young people to take care of that side of soft skill, because when you're confident enough, you will trust your idea. When you're confident, when you're creative enough, you will explore your idea more. When you have communication skill, you will build a very strong team where you can work all together to achieve anything. So yeah, resilient, because a very important element in Outer Bound experience is that we teach people how to deal with failure. So imagine that you are dealing with technology, which is there is always a very fast world there, a very fast improvement in digital world. There is a lot of ideas, there is a lot of things. And to prove your idea, you need to be a resilient there, because you will face a lot of failure, rejection, as any other areas in life, not just the technical side, but or technical field. So to be able to face this and learn or turn the failure from something negative to something positive, you need to have a resilience skill, for example, which is you cannot get it from technology, but you can get it from other opportunities like Outer Bound or real experience. So yeah, technical skills along with soft skills go to hand by hand or needed alongside for the future, I believe.
Thank you so much. It's a very interesting notion that resilience is a skill that we can learn more from nature than from technologies. Reflecting on Outward Bound Oman as a a part of a global network of organizations, how do you think what you do, and the way you are doing nature-based learning, how do you think it prepares the youth for global competitiveness? And that relates to, for example, the visions for the future. Do you think it builds a character that is able to compete globally?
Yes, for sure, because we started from nature, Mr. Khalid. We, as a human being, we started from, and we are part of the nature, so we cannot separate this. But we can build on it in a right way. If we understand the nature around us, which is include human being and other creation, that will help us to build a very bright future, to build a very competitive or a competitive advantage in us to compete globally, with our ideas. Because then, being as I described before, an outbound course, you will be in a course away from your comfort zone with new people. Those new people, all of them are different in their thinking, in their abilities, and their beliefs. So being with them, you will learn to accept other people's thoughts and build on them, it is the same idea if you think of it as being part of the world. So if you have that ability or that skills, when you accept people's thoughts and you build on them, and instead of fighting the ideas, you will be a very good competitor, and you will compete in a very bright way with the world, and you will build with them, with the people around you, a very creative thing.
Thank you.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's been. It's very interesting that the notion that we are talking about connecting minds and creating the future. It is very important to start with connecting with nature as well. Before asking you for last thoughts, are there any questions about the importance of reflection and meditation in the digital age from the audience? Yes, please. Amazing. Maha, we had an interesting question from a member of the audience that technology companies have created solutions also that help us reach that stage of meditation, reflection. We have seen a lot of apps also that are in the space. Do you think that technology can contribute to the world that you are, to nature-based learning, basically meditation and reflection?
Yes, for sure it can contribute, as long it will not destroy the idea of being near to the nature. What I mean by this, I know there is a lot of apps, excuse me, by the way, for my voice. Yeah, there is a technology nowadays help us to or reverse to us a lot of things that maybe can contribute to our world or to the nature or reflections.
Yes, and maybe, yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, but it's still just a small image of it. It is not the real experience sort of things. In my opinion, I'm saying this. So, for example, there is a lot of you can just use the technology to visit a lot of places, but it is the same as you experience the place. For sure, it will not. You will rely only on your seeing the things or just hearing it, but touching it, feeling it, smelling the place. It is still not the same experience. So it supports, yeah, but not the
Thank you.
same.
Thank you so much. So it can support, but perhaps it's not the time where it would replace being in nature. And there is something intangible about breathing fresh air and looking at the beaches and being in the mountains and just maybe admiring creations. Thank you so much for your valuable contribution, Ms. Maha. I'm biased, of course, because I'm familiar with the work of Outward Bound globally and how it uses reflection in making sure that, yes, we have balanced businesses and technologies, but also we need to have a balanced and resilient human being first. Thank you so much, everyone, for being such a great audience. Thank you, Maha.
Thank you, Mr. Khalid, and thank you for today. Have a very nice day, inshallah.
Thank you so much. Over to you, Nada.
So much, Maha. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for still being here with us, either at the stage or on the live stream. Today, after this nice break, getting in touch with our inner selves, we would like to welcome two of our young innovators and young new startups in Oman who would be talking about a virtual reality solution and an electrical car. So please welcome them on the stage, Amira and Haider.
دكتور كيف
كيف
الحال؟
الحال؟
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is a very interesting session. I have two very exciting guests that I've had the pleasure to know for years. And we would like to explore with them the idea of frontier technologies and how frontier technologies are merging and converging together to create something that is very interesting for both of us. I would like to welcome Amira Al-Busaidi, the CEO or co-founder of Milhim VR. Amira, she has been in this space for, should I say, for the past 10 years. And in the past 3 years, was a co-founder of Milhim VR, and we'll get to know it soon. Thank you so much for making time to join us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. Have this great discussion with you.
Thank you so much. And I'm also pleased that I have our friend Haider Zaabi, a co-founder of MICE electronic vehicles. And we would like, of course, while knowing MACE, it would be great to know the story behind the name that I've heard before, but it's a very, very interesting story. And it will be really good if we can explore with you. We have been talking since the morning about the idea of how all of these frontier technologies need to be balanced with the element of heritage, the element of culture. And in both of your innovations, what's interesting about it is that in the world of VR and the world of AV, you got inspiration from the culture and heritage as well. And perhaps we'll start with you, with Haider, if you can give us a bit of a background about MACE and the story, and if you can connect with us the world of innovation and heritage.
Sure. First of all, pleasure speaking here to Doctor, and pleasure for all the listeners that are here and with us in live. First of all, I will speak about MACE. MACE is an electric cars design and manufacturing company. So we produce and make electric cars. And of course, throughout the journey that we were making electric cars, it was very important for us to not just make an electric car that matches the international cars that we see around, but to also try to pioneer and try to be different and better in other ways and elements. So also part of us participating today in the Innovation Cube, we're also proud to say that today we'll be launching the MACE first NFTs.
Yes.
Of MACE.
So the world of electronic vehicles is also converging with the world of NFTs.
Exactly. And when it comes to electric cars in general and the car business and the car manufacturing, there is so many different use cases when it comes to blockchain, the metaverse, the NFTs, that you can provide value for the company as well as for the customers. and use cases that they will also benefit a lot from.
And is merging the world of electric vehicles and EVs, did your team think of it because it's a new frontier technology, or is it really bringing value to your bottom line?
So it's both. It's one, when it comes to value to the bottom line, of course, it's a huge value, but then we're always working for the customer. So the value for the customer is immense, and the opportunities is huge. And as well, looking into the electric vehicles today, it's a growing market, and it's a great opportunity to actually try to get some market share from today, since all of the car manufacturers are almost in the starting line. So we are almost, we have this great chance today to actually be able to conquer this market, especially for our region.
Well, that's quite ambitious, and it's really great that it's ambitious. I just want to check if we have our third guest, Sulaiman Al-Habsi, online.
السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله. باشمهندس كيف الحال? How are you?
الحمد لله طيبين تمام. We're welcome. We're fine.
Thank you. We're very excited to hear about your company, Afkarius. Can you just give us a really brief about what Afkarius does?
Yes, Afkarius is a product development company. We have been in business since 2015, and we have launched several products and patented new innovative ideas. We focus in electromechanical gadgets and IoTs. Today we're going to talk also about some of our innovations.
Thank you so much. We're looking forward to hear from you, inshallah. And it'd be great to hear, Amira, the same question for you. You're a serial entrepreneur. Could you please let us know a bit more about Mulhim VR and your journey?
So I have worked in the government for a long time, 2007, and my last job was to establish the virtual reality center, the first virtual reality center in Oman, which is called SAS for virtual reality.
And what year was that?
It was in 2012 we launched it, and it was under ITA, Information Technology Authority, which now has been transferred to be Ministry of Transportation, Communication and Technology. So I have worked in establishing the center and monitoring the intensive training program for virtual reality. Actually, my dream was before establishing the center to work in VR, but I couldn't find a supervisor who supervised my pieces in the master in VR. So I transferred that. Alhamdulillah, I found that ITA is already establishing the center. I moved there, and the dream was still there. So just in 2012, I have decided to shift and pause my job in the government and established my company, Mulhim VR. And the first product that we have developed is for healthcare, developing virtual reality games for healthcare. But actually, as a company, we are working in all technologies or all fields related to VR.
So not only healthcare.
No. We have also done a game for Oman Pavilion here in Expo in Dubai. So this was a game which is mixed between culture and enjoyment, because we have added the architecture, the Omani architecture, in a fantasy way to the game, and it was about Luban and making Luban as a character. So we have worked on this side.
And do you see, from your experience in creating a VR product for Expo Dubai, do you think the VR space, for example, in countries, in GCC countries or in Oman in particular, now have reached maturity to start making products for the global market?
Actually, when we have started in 2012, when we speak with the organizations and people about VR, they don't know what is VR. We need to give them a definition. And we were doing an awareness in the colleges about what is VR. Now people know VR, and they are calling us that they want to make like a VR game or something for their organization, or maybe establish a VR lab in the university. So now the demand is there. It is just started. I cannot say a strong demand, but it is starting.
Locally, regionally,
Locally in Oman and also in the Gulf regions generally. So yes, it is improving. And now the demand is there, but it needs also patient, and also we need to be collaborative with the clients because still there are challenges as usual.
And is this a picture from one of your products?
This is the VR platform that we have developed for healthcare. It is has been made for distracting patients during medical procedures. My voice is not very high. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's virtual reality. You need to Second Life.
No, this is by nature. Okay. So yes, this is one of the experiments that we have done. We have applied our VR platform for dental treatments and also for blood test Royal Hospital.
Why is that? Why was it important to apply VR for dental treatment? What value did it bring to the operation?
Yeah. Actually, if you will take your kid to a dental clinic, you will find there are different ways to distract the kids during the procedure itself. Here, for example, you can see the screen and different things. Also, they are using oxygen. They want to relax the patient during the treatment. So VR is doing that, and also it is isolating the patient from everything. They cannot see the injection. We have tried it with patients that they did like tooth extraction, and they didn't know that they have finished the procedure and the tooth already extracted. And that big injection was put there, so they didn't see anything.
I am one of the people who would love to use VR during tooth extraction.
Yeah.
If I can avoid it altogether, that would be even better. But so you see that it's mature enough that it can satisfy the global demand as well.
Yeah, and also there are similar solutions maybe have been done in US, Europe, and some VR also used for treatment. So, and we have found a good collaboration from Royal Hospital in Oman, and we did a strategic partnership. We did the first testing with them, and we did also a trial with the pediatric clinic, which is for kids in Royal Hospital.
And I'll ask also your co-panelists the same question. In terms of talents and competitiveness, do you see now that we have the right talents who can be involved in an innovative field such as VR? Are you finding enough VR talents in your field?
I will not give a direct answer. Because since 2012, I worked in SAS VR Center to develop the talents to be able to develop these such projects. So the team who is working with me are the graduates from the center itself. Yes, we have a good number, but still I can say that the skills are, you can say it is like junior or mid, it is growing and improving. So for a specific kind of jobs, you need to work with more expertise who are not very available in Oman. This is because the industry also, it is not growing that much fast. We have trained in SAS VR, for example, more than 600 Omanis, but
not all of them stayed. Not all of the 600
yes.
stayed in the VR space.
Yes, the skills needs to be. You need to practice.
Yes, that's amazing. And just before the session, we mentioned one of the originals of the VR world, which is Second Life.
Yeah.
Do you think our world has come a long way since the beginning of Second Life, 10 years ago?
Actually, in 2003 and after, even until 2010, Second Life was not very interesting and attractive to go through. But now, after Facebook or Meta has been announced the metaverse concept, many companies have raised the concept of metaverse, and we have like Decentraland, Next Life, and other sandbox. They are using the concept of metaverse, but it is not. For example, Meta is focusing on using VR headsets.
Yes.
But Decentraland and other metaverse applications, it is mostly like Second Life. You can find 3D objects interacting, but still it is not in VR headset. But they are moving step by step, and Actually, I can say that no one exactly can see what is the final picture of metaverse because it is developing. But yes, it came from Second Life. It is like in NFT and other technologies. It was there, but now it is the right time for it.
So timing sometimes is everything. So you think that it is converging with this new metaverse world that is evolving. It would be great if you can tell us now more about the journey of Mace and this new world that you're creating. And congratulations on the launch.
Thank you. We're going to be launching now, even revealing the car this Sunday. And when it comes to the launch today for the NFTs, of course, converging into this new world is important. And like any new technology, when you first look at it, you will always find, when it's first launched, only the initial adopters are usually the ones who are adopting it, the early adopters. And these are the ones who are driving it. But until all the enablements happens, as you mentioned, timing today is better than the past. You have the financial aspect of it available. You have even major companies around the world who are kind of leading the way now. So it is starting this steps, and of course, I think within the next years we can see it going more towards the mass.
So this is what we're looking at, Mace, right?
Yes. So, for example, if you take a look at this car in the metaverse, you would be able, for example, to rent this car, or you'd be able to buy this car and drive it in the metaverse and kind of have it there in your own Second Life.
Amazing.
So this is 3D, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is the 3D, and I'm glad to say that we actually completed it, and it looks amazing, the real one. Now this Sunday we'll be revealing it. But yeah, I mean, speaking towards the metaverse, the use cases that you can do and you can provide to customers is immersive, is a lot, and even without considering the VR aspect, but the VR just gives you that whole immersion. For example, if you're driving the car normally with the PC, yes, you'll have a certain experience, but with the VR, you can feel as if you're driving the real thing. You actually feel all the elements
excitement
of it. And I've tried it once, I think, with the PlayStation. Now they're very advanced with the graphics. It feels very real. I mean, I was with the whole steering wheel, with the VR, and you can actually look back and right and left and you see all these small details. And after a while, actually, when you take off the VR headset, you feel a bit lost. What is going on? That feeling of kind of waking up from a dream. But these things are happening fast. We're happy to be one of the first companies to enter this arena, and definitely would love to lead it as well when it comes to maybe the car industry. And the examples that we've seen in Oman, now there's not a lot of companies there, but you can see major companies are buying lands.
Yes.
In the metaverse, and that just shows the steps that
the potential
exactly where people are going to actually be purchasing through the metaverse, and probably to a level it might be even more. Maybe some businesses, their whole business model would be just based on actually benefiting from the metaverse.
Amazing. When we're building this, I would say very sophisticated two technologies, the EV, and also you preparing Mace for the NFT world. How did you find the innovative talents to help you to realize this dream?
Exactly. That is a very good question. And that's, for us, when it comes to talent, it was an important aspect for us to grow and to move faster. And starting with talents from Oman, alhamdulillah, we found a lot of talents, even when it comes to the
engineers, designers.
When it comes to the engineers, yes, as well when it comes to the metaverse, which is a new technology, and the NFTs as well. We're working with
and these are self-taught people, both university graduates.
Yes. So I'm dealing now with two very talented gentlemen. One is Ahmed Al-Kindi and Hamoud Al-Kharousi, and mashallah, yani Omani talents. But